Anyone who decided to sit down and read can tell you just how difficult it is. With the thousands of distractions and ready-made content available to us, it is a wonder why anyone should take the time to read. You often hear people say, I used to read so much more when I was a kid, I don't know what happened. A possible explanation is that as kids, we are much more imaginative, and reading requires a powerful imagination. The great authors create a world that is unique to them, and it takes an imaginative leap to become fully immersed in it. Another reason why reading is so difficult is because the pace at which we read is so much different from the pace at which we lead our lives. Reading attentively is about slowing down and taking in every complexity that the book has to offer. This can feel sluggish and tiresome when everything else in our lives is so fast-paced and immediate, whether it be browsing social media or watching a Hollywood blockbuster. Even when we compliment the book, we say, I sped through this novel, but never, it dragged on for so long, it was wonderful. By consciously making the effort to slow down and appreciate a poem or a novel, we can access generations of thought and feeling which are seldom to be found elsewhere. By reading the great authors, we will discover that generations of writers have worked endlessly to set down on paper the passions and sorrows that affect us all. Nothing brings us closer to a work of art than the realization that it can speak for our experience. To exemplify this, I will read a passage from George Eliot's Middlemarch. At this point in the novel, the young female protagonist, Dorothea, has been married to Mr. Casaubon for a few weeks, a much older man than her. She is beginning to feel unhappy, but she cannot quite pinpoint what the source of her unhappiness is. However, Dorothea was crying, and if she had been required to state the cause, she could only have done so in some such general words as I have already used. To have been driven to be more particular would have been like trying to give history of the limits and shadows. For that new, real future which was replacing the imaginary drew its material from the endless minutiae by which her view of Mr. Casaubon and her wifely relation, now that she was married to him, was gradually changing with the secret motion of a watch hand from what it had been in her maiden dream. It was too early yet for her fully to recognize, or at least admit the change, still more for her to have readjusted that devotedness, which was so necessary a part of her mental life that she was almost sure, sooner or later, to recover it. How was it that in the weeks since her marriage, Dorothea had not distinctly observed, but felt, with a stifling depression, that the large vistas and wide, fresh air which she had dreamed of finding in her husband's mind were replaced by anterooms and winding passages which seemed to lead nowhither? I suppose it was that in courtship everything is regarded as provisional and preliminary, and the smallest sample of virtue or accomplishment is taken to guarantee delightful stores which the broad leisure of marriage will reveal. But the doorsill of marriage once crossed, expectation is concentrated on the present. Having once embarked on your marital voyage, it is impossible not to be aware that you make no way and that the sea is not within sight, that, in fact, you are exploring an enclosed basin. The subtle and complex tones of these lines get to the center of something that many of us have experienced, disillusionment in a partner, or the feeling of unhappiness when we have every reason to be happy. Great literature provides us the words for that which we cannot describe. And so make each book you read your own. Write on it, underline it, question it. Have no respect for the reputation of a book or its author. Only in this way can you open your mind to fully engage with everything that a book has to offer, and enjoy it in a way which is unique to you. As Virginia Woolf has said, the only advice, indeed, that one can give another about reading is to take no advice, to follow your own instincts, to use your own reason, and to come to your own conclusions. If reading is difficult, then poetry is the most difficult thing to read. Poems use their own unique language, created and shaped by their authors, and this adds another layer to the imaginative effort that we take when we read. The meaning of a poem, if there is such a thing, is a lot harder to get than from a paragraph of prose. Yet, what could be more exciting and fascinating than immersing yourself in a poem? A good way to approach any poem is to read it out loud. This can be even slower, because we cannot recite at the same pace that we can read, but this is the only way to bring the sounds of poetry to life. Only by reading out loud are we to find the music within a poem. Rereading is also fundamental, not because it can allow you to reach a complete understanding of a poem, such thing is not possible, but because you can dwell on the uncertainties and ambiguities that a poem has to offer. So, let me read a poem for you. This is The Motive for Metaphor by Wallace Stevens. You like it under the trees in autumn, because everything is half dead. The wind moves like a cripple among the leaves and repeats words without meaning. In the same way, you were happy in spring, with the half colors of quarter things, the slightly brighter sky, the melting clouds, the single bird, the obscure moon. the obscure moon lighting an obscure world of things that would never be quite expressed, where you yourself were never quite yourself and did not want nor have to be, desiring the exhilarations of changes, the motive for metaphor, shrinking from the weight of primary noon, the ABC of being, the ruddy temper, the hammer of red and blue, the hard sound, steel against intonation, the sharp flash, the vital, arrogant, fatal, dominant X. Reading would not give us an immediate, tangible reward, and the worst thing we can do is to approach it with the calculating mindset of someone who expects to gain something out of it. In fact, it could be years until you get the chance to mention at a dinner party that you've read Ulysses. Read for the sake of reading, and read only what you enjoy, not because it is highly regarded or to take it off some meaningless list. In an age which demands measurable results and productivity, let the only end of reading be reading itself. Lastly, I've included some book and poem recommendations for further exploration. These aren't comprehensive, but rather books that have touched me in some way or another, and hopefully will do the same for you. I've also included the names and links to each book in the video description. Thank you very much for watching.